Happy Halloween, boys and girls, dogs and cats, ghosts and goblins, elephants and monkeys. I hope you're having a great holiday. I hope you're enjoying the festival of Samhain, or is it Samhain or Samhain? I'm not really sure how to say that name properly. I wasn't initially intending for this to be the review to go up on Halloween, but Horror Month started a little late this year, and I have another film in this franchise to review after this, and then I have a whole other franchise that I wanted to tackle for this year's Horror Month. So Horror Month of 2022 is definitely going to be extending out into probably mid-November, but I'm continuing my reviews on the Blind Dead series with a review of 1975's Night of the Seagulls, the fourth film in Amando de Ossorio's Blind Dead series. Now, I have the film on the Blind Dead DVD set from Blue Underground, and this was the final film of the original Blind Dead series. Now, before I saw this one, I had heard that this was considered to be one of the lesser films in the series, but I actually quite enjoyed it. It's not as good as the first two, but it's definitely better than The Ghost Galleon, which was the third Blind Dead film. And one thing I really liked about this one is it actually seems to have some Lovecraftian elements. Like, this movie reminded me a lot of the H.P. Lovecraft novella, The Shadow over Innsmouth. Now, in case you haven't seen the first three movies, the whole Blind Dead mythos deals with the Templar Knights, which was a real religious and military order during medieval times. This is obviously a fictional version of them, but in the Blind Dead mythos, it turns out that they practice black magic and sacrifice young women in order to achieve immortality, and they ended up getting executed, and now in modern times they come back as blind zombies that track their victims via sound. Now, in the first three films, it implied that it was Satan that they were worshipping. However, in this movie, you see a statue of the deity that they're worshipping, and it's distinctly fish-like. Granted, it could still be Satan, but I definitely got the implication, and they never actually say the deity's name in this movie, at least not the version that I saw, but I got the implication that this god was supposed to be Dagon. Now, Dagon is a god from ancient mythology, but H.P. Lovecraft later adapted Dagon into his Cthulhu mythos, namely in the short stories Dagon and The Shadow over Innsmouth. Now, what the plot of Night of the Seagulls is, it follows this young couple. The husband recently got a job as the doctor in this small coastal town, but when they get there, the residents are very rude to them and basically make it clear that they don't want outsiders there, because it turns out that this town has a dark secret. It turns out that every year for 7 consecutive days, they sacrifice young women to the Blind Dead in order to placate them so the zombies don't destroy their town. But Night of the Seagulls is a really effective and very creepy early 70s horror film. Like, some of the music in this film is just so creepy and creates a really eerie and almost oppressive atmosphere. Now, the reason the movie's called Night of the Seagulls is because when they sacrifice the girls to the Blind Dead, seagulls are flying everywhere, even though it's at night, and in the movie, it's implied that these seagulls are actually the spirits of the girls who have been sacrificed to the Blind Dead, or more specifically to the god that the Blind Dead worship. And that idea is just so creepy to me. Now, the characters in the movie are certainly not deep or fully fleshed out by any means, but they are fairly likable, even though the husband is a bit of a typical 70s male. Like, there are points in the movie where he's kind of talking to his wife like she's a child. Now, one character who I really felt sorry for, in the movie there's a mentally challenged man named Teddy, who is constantly bullied and beaten up by the people in the town. There's even a scene in the movie where some of the men from the town are chasing him with broomsticks, and you realize that these townspeople are genuinely awful human beings. And in a way, they're the true villains of the film, more so than the Blind Dead themselves. But yeah, I recommend Night of the Seagulls, especially if you liked the first 3 films in this franchise. You should really check this one out. And if you're unfamiliar with the Blind Dead movies, definitely check this series out. It's actually quite good. I don't recommend the third one. The third one kind of sucked, but Tombs of the Blind Dead, Return of the Evil Dead, and Night of the Seagulls are all really solid horror films. Now, like I said, Night of the Seagulls was the final film of the original Blind Dead series, but after this, there were several unofficial sequels. And recently, there was sort of a reboot of the Blind Dead series released in 2021 called Curse of the Blind Dead, and that's gonna be my next movie review. But until then, happy Halloween, and bye.